Alright, welcome back to Maths for Emmanuel. So we are still on the series of binomial expansion. Now let's solve yet another problem on this particular topic. So now you have to write down and simplify the first four terms of the binomial expansion of this. So if you are following up this playlist, you observe that the last video we are on binomial expansion involving fractional index, both negative and positive. So now when you're having a fractional index, how am I going to approach this question? I've done out of the previous video, but this other one now is having a negative fraction. You see the same approach, just that this one is negative, but you do the same thing. Now here they say we should find the first four terms of this expansion. So when you are expanding a binomial expansion and the index is fraction, this is what you are supposed to know. It doesn't have an end. Yeah, it doesn't have an end. If you expand it, if you are expanding an expansion having a fraction, it will be continued. So you be the person to predict where you stop. Now the question says we should find the first four terms. So now you are asked to solve first term, second term, and third term. First, second, third, and fourth term. That's where we stop. So now, with solving this now, I provided a special formula. With that formula, you can solve every single question on expansion. Every single question, that formula. So I'll be giving that formula again. Then we'll be using that same formula to solve this particular problem here. Now, in solving this now, my solution. So let's rewrite the question. We have to expand 4 plus x squared all raised to the power of minus 1 over 2. Now let's expand together. First of all, I need to get my value of a, b, and n. Where a is, I can say a is 4, fine. You can say b is 4, okay. You can say a is x squared and b is 4. Anything I want to do is still get the same thing. So let me just say my a here. Okay, let me do it here. Where a, now I'm saying that a is 4. You can say a is 4. And then b is x squared. You can also decide to say a is x squared and b is 4. If you do anyhow you do it, you still get the same result. And then n is the index you can see up here. So now my n is minus 1 over 2. That's it. So now I'm going to record the formula and then put in these three values into the formula. So now if you record the formula, is a raised to the power of n plus n a raised to the power of n minus 1 b all over 1 factorial plus the next will be n into n minus 1 multiplied by a raised to the power of n minus 2 b squared all over 2 factorial plus n into n minus 1 n minus 2 a raised to the power of n minus 3 b cubed all over 3 factorial plus ellipsis. That means it's still going. So I provided this formula on the very first video when you are starting binomial expansion. So you can do it to click the link in the description for that video. Now, this is the formula. Now I'll be using this formula to expand this. Now the question says find the first four terms. Okay, let me just do this into the fourth term. Okay, this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, and this is the fourth term. Now we are using the formula. So now we know that a is what? A is 4, b is x squared, and n is minus 1 over 2. Simply put in those values. So I'll be having a will now be 4 raised to the power of n is what? N is minus 1 over 2. Plus we have n to be minus 1 over 2. So here will be minus 1 over 2 multiplied by a. A is 4. And 4 is raised to the power of minus 1 over 2. Then we also have minus 1. It's just simply substitution. And then b, we know that b is x squared all over 1 factorial. For the next, n is minus 1 over 2 in a bracket multiplied by n minus 1. That means minus 1 over 2 minus 1. Multiplied by a, you know that a is 4. So here is 4. Raised to the power of n minus 2. That means I'm having minus 1 over 2 minus 2. Then b is what? X squared. So I'll be having x squared all raised to the power of 2. So here raised to the power of 2 all over 3, sorry, all over 2 factorial. Then for the next, n, we know that n is minus 1 over 2, multiplied by n minus 1. So that is minus 1 over 2 minus 1. Multiplied by n minus 2. That is minus 1 over 2 minus 2. Multiplied by a, we know that a is what? 4. So here is 4 raised to the power of n minus 3. So I'm subtracting 3 from minus 1 over 2. So I'm having minus 1 over 2 minus 3. Then b is x squared. So here is x squared all raised to the power of 3. All raised to the power of 3. And all this is divided by 3 factorial. That's it. So now this is the question says first 4 terms. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. So here on the track. That's it. Now the next task is to simplify every single thing here and get the values. Simplify everything. Man, this is really huge. So I'll be using a calculator so I will not make mistake. Yeah, in your exam you are expected to use a calculator. So I will punch my calculator. Now for the first time we are having 4 raised to the power of minus 1 over 2. If you simplify that, 4 raised to the power of minus 1 all over 2 is 0.5. That is 1 over 2. Let me show you how the result is 1 over 2. Let me just do a brief solving on this. 4 is raised to the power of, we know that 4 is the same thing as 2 squared, right? 4 is the same thing as 2 squared. And this is raised to the power of minus 1 over 2. So according to the law of indices, when you're having something like this, 2 can as well cancel 2. So now I'm left with 2 raised to the power of minus 1. Now we know that 2 raised to the power of minus 1, anything having a negative index, here will be 1 all over 2 raised to the power of this 1, which is the same thing as 1 over 2. 1 over 2. And that's just it. So this 1 over 2, that's the result. So 4 raised to the power of minus 1 over 2 is 1 over 2. So the first result here is 1 over 2. Now for the next. Now let's do it together. We are multiplying minus 1 all over 2. So after punching, the result is minus 1 over 16. So every single thing here is minus 1 over 3, 1 over 16, including dividing it by 1 factorial. So the result here is minus, this is not plus, this is minus 1 over 16. Then we have x squared here, minus 1 over 16. I'll do the same thing for the next one. Punch everything and your result. So after punching this, the final result for this is 3 all over 2, 5, 6. And this, the coefficient of this, we have x squared raised to the power of 2. So x squared raised to the power of 2 is x raised to the power of 4. That is x raised to the power of 4. Now lastly is this. Now let's punch it together. So after punching, the result is minus 5 all over 2, 0, 4, 8. And then the coefficient here is x squared raised to the power of 3. So x squared raised to the power of 3 is x raised to the power of 6. And that becomes the final answer to the problem. So that's just it. Hope you are following me up when I was punching. Yeah. So the final answer now, in resolving 4 plus x squared all raised to the power of minus 1 over 2 will now be equal to, the first term we know that it's 1 over 2 minus, this is the same thing as, okay, 1 over 16 x squared plus 3 over 256 x raised to the power of 4 minus 5 all over 2048 x raised to the power of 6. So guys, that's the final answer to the problem. So with this, now we are done with this particular problem. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do well to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. We'll be solving one last question and then we'll end the series on binomial theorem. So that one will be involving numbers. We'll not be having variables again. We'll be having a number. So let's see how we can solve stuff. Let me just give you a hint. Let's say we are asked to expand 1.8 all raised to the power of 6 without the use of, like, you're not going to punch it directly, but we're using mathematical, we'll be using binomial theorem to expand 1.8 all raised to the power of 6. So you cannot afford to miss that video. Do it to hit that subscribe button so that when the video is uploaded, you'll be the first to be notified and then you watch it. See you on the next one.